Hi there and welcome. So today is all about knitting. I was requested recently here on the channel to make a video where I show you all of my knitting projects. So I will show you both the ones that I am currently working on and ones that I've recently made and ones that I've made last year. And you'll have to excuse me, I do not have much of a voice today, but I have a cup of tea here, so maybe it'll soften up during this little session. I do hope so, at least. Or I will just have to whisper. So the most recent project that I started in the weekend is this one here, the Dahlia Sweater Chunky Edition by Line Holme Samsø, which is a Danish designer, which I really love, and I've made many sweaters of her patterns. And I made this one in a color called wheat and I've mixed two threads together here, a cream white and the wheat color here. But the wheat is the most predominant in this project. You never know quite how it will turn out when you mix two colors together. But this one, I really like this warm, creamy, wheat-like color. So I think this is going to be a very, very nice sweater. I'm very excited about this project. I have, though, made this design, this sweater from this design in, I think it was the end of 2003, so quite a long time ago. And back then it was a really, really difficult pattern for me because I was not very advanced in knitting back then. So it was a big challenge for me, and I remember that I made this pattern, this top part pattern. I ripped it up 7 times before I got it right. So it was really difficult for me, but I learned an awful lot by making that and trying over and over again. So sometimes you just have to be really patient and persistent when trying new things out and challenges. So I'll show you the one that I made back in 2003. I actually wore it in a recent video here on the channel. So I'll show you. It is right here. It is in gray. It's actually lighter than you see here on the screen, and the other one is too. It's kind of dark today. I hope the sun will come out a little bit later, but it's kind of a short sweater design, and it is both of these are made in the same kind of yarn. It is yarn from Drops Design, a Norwegian brand, which is worldwide. You can get it worldwide pretty much. And it is a mix of alpaca wool, drops lima. The thick thread here, is drops lima. And it is a mix between wool and alpaca. I think it is, yeah, it is. Highland wool and alpaca, and then a silk mohair, kid silk and mohair thread, also from Drops Design. The yarn is called the kid silk. So it gives a very luxurious feel, touch, and look with this mohair glow. Yeah, I really love that. So these two types of yarn I have used in many of my projects. It's my favorite mix. And actually the pattern here calls for a bit thicker yarn, a yarn that is a bit thicker. So I decided to knit this with 6mm needles instead of 7mm needles, and then make a size large so that it fits with the yarn. Yeah, so I like to experiment a little bit and go a little bit out of the pattern and make my own versions of different patterns. I usually don't use the yarn that they recommend in the patterns because they are usually a bit expensive. Yeah, I'll just have a little more. And I have this cough candy, cough to soften my throat a little bit. Yeah, it's not that my throat hurts or anything. It's just that it's difficult to speak softly when you have a little bit of a crusty voice. Yeah. So that is what I'm working on. And just to show you what I am also working on, I'm working on several unfinished. I am actually working on several unfinished projects. I like to mix it up a little so I don't get bored with one project. And that also means that it takes me a bit of time to finish anything. But I am also almost finished with this cable sweater here, which is a sweater that I partially designed myself last year. I made a cable sweater. It is this one here. From the design is also from a Danish design, a brand called Easy as Knit. And I like the design a lot. I like making cables. I think it's so much fun and relaxing. But unfortunately, I don't like so much the neckline here. It's kind of irritating to wear it. It's kind of not very comfortable neckline. But other than that, I really like this design. So I decided to make my own version and create a different neckline. But other than that, follow the same pattern. So as you can see, I have made a round neckline on this one. Just made a few short rows to make a nice and comfortable neckline, and then otherwise I just followed pretty much the same pattern. I didn't make the cables quite as tight as in the other one, and I used some bigger needles. So actually I made a lot of differences to the pattern, but the idea came from this other pattern. So I am very excited to see how this turns out, because it is kind of an experiment, but I think it is going to be really good. And the yarn was not the most interesting color, but it goes with everything pretty much. And well, I bought it last year. I just felt like I have to use it, even though I really wanted a different color. But I think it's good to use what you already have in your stash, because it just takes up a lot of space and it's too good to throw out. So there. And actually I am knitting it from another sweater which I unraveled. I started this very, very interesting and very difficult pattern last year. I don't remember what's the design, but it's also from the knit. And I just was not in a good headspace at that point to make this very difficult pattern, so I kind of gave up on it. But I decided to unravel and use the yarn for this other sweater here. Yeah. Sometimes things don't always go as we imagine or hope. Actually, I started a knitting podcast last year, but decided that it was too much work and took too much of my time to knit, and I kind of also lost interest in knitting because I was just knitting too much. And it was actually had a lot of success from the very beginning, that channel, but I decided to quit it because I can't knit 24/7, and I wouldn't have enough new things to show every week. So I decided that that was really not a good idea. But to combine it with ASMR, maybe that's the way to go from now on. Maybe I should keep doing these little knitting podcasts here on this channel if you would like that. Feel free to write me, or just a creative podcast, because I do a lot of different creative things. I also dabbled a little bit in jewelry making and sewing. I do a lot of sewing also. I used to do a lot of sewing, at least. I haven't had much time for it recently. This time of year is mostly knitting season, I call it. And then maybe in the summer I will do more sewing summer dresses and things. And I need some more tea. Alright, and last week, or was it this weekend? I think it was this weekend actually. I finished some cute little sweaters, also by the design of the knit, and it is the little peacock sweaters for my nieces who are 6 years old. I am going to Copenhagen and visiting them on Friday, so I had to finish these as quickly as possible. I haven't had time to wash and block them yet, so they will be even prettier when I get to do that. That's just to straighten them out a little bit, and yeah. Yeah, it's such a pretty design. I also made this in a t-shirt. In a t-shirt version. And that's the hamster again. Drives me crazy, that hamster. I've made a few t-shirts in this in this pattern. So it's a quite an easy pattern, stitch pattern. This peacock pattern here by Line Holme-Sapsø. Yeah, it's very soft, very nice and soft. Soft yarn. I knitted this in Drops, also Drops design yarn. Drops Noah. Drops Noah. 2 threads of Drops Noah. Very affordable yarn and quite soft and nice. Yeah. And of course, I have 2 nieces. They are twins. So I made one also for the other one. This was actually the one that I made first. And yeah, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, not much to say other than that. Just gonna have another tea. And let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, we can also look at here what I'm wearing here. I made this also this year. It is the No Frills sweater by Petite Knit. She is a big, world famous designer from the town that I live in from Aarhus here. And I think that she and many other famous knitting designers are probably the reason why Denmark is called the knitting capital of the world, because it is such a big trend here with knitting, and this trend has really spread across the world. And we have just a knitting and a yarn store on every street corner here. Such a big trend. And knitting clubs and knitting cafes all over the country. So it's a huge trend. It used to be Norway that was the knitting capital of the world, because they're practically born with knitting needles and skis, as they say. But yeah, so the No Frill sweater, making this pattern was how I learned to make the German short rows, where you turn the rows, and it allows you to create a nice round neckline, even though you are knitting from the top down. Yeah. So this is knitted in Drops Flora and again Drops Kit Silk, one thread of each, and it's knitted on 4mm needles. And the first one I made of this was actually this red one here, which is a little too big because I used a different type of yarn. I used Drops Alpaca, which is slightly thicker than Drops Flora, so it got a little too big, but other than that, I use it actually quite a lot. It doesn't matter so much. It's a very oversized design after all, so it's quite good. It's good. It doesn't matter. And I don't know if you can hear the texture. Quite soft and nice. And I like that the silk and the mohair yarn gives it a very drapey fabric. It makes a drapey fabric, which I love. It makes it very pretty and exclusive. Yeah. this one called Novice sweater, novice cardigan. Yeah, it's this one. I haven't actually put in the buttons yet. This was, I believed I finished this at the end of the winter, beginning of the spring. This year. We're still in December. And then I kind of just wanted to get started with some spring clothes. So I put this aside. I did finish it. I weaved in the ends, I blocked it and everything, but I did not sew in the buttons yet. No. I will do that very soon so that I can start wearing this. And I can't wear it without buttons, but I shall put in some buttons. Yeah. Also a very nice and soft sweater. And this is, again, I made this in drops Lima, and drops kid silk again. One thread of each yarn type. Yeah. And yes, so one of the spring things that I made. I also have more than these, but they're in the attic. I put away all my spring and summer clothes. I put that in the attic. But apparently this one was in the wash or something when I put them away. So this one I still have in the closet. And it is this one. I'll just show you up close what the pattern looks like. Yeah. It is called the Palm Tee. But I just made long sleeves. So again, I adjusted the pattern to fit my own needs. I think that the knitted t-shirts that I have, I do not use them all that much because I feel like either it's too cold to wear a t-shirt or it's too warm to wear knitwear. So I believe that knitwear should have sleeves. So I just put sleeves in them. And I've used this one quite a lot. I adore this design. I've made several. I've made another one in blue also. It's upstairs in the attic. Yeah. And this was also a little bit challenging, this design here, but not difficult. I wouldn't call it difficult. A little bit more advanced than the Peacock design, but still, if you've tried it once before, the first time it's a bit challenging, but the second time it's really easy. Yeah. So next time I make it, I will use some more luxurious yarn. This one is made in Drops Bell. Drops Bell. It's perfect before you wash it, but after a few washes, it's not so soft anymore. It becomes kind of hard, a little bit hard. Not as hard as pure cotton, but still, I think I will choose some better yarn. But Drops Bell is also quite good, and it's very cheap. So, but maybe I will just probably invest in a bit more luxurious yarn next time I make it. And yeah, and I forgot to show you, I actually also do have a Novice cardigan that I have finished with buttons and everything, but it's not completely clean, so it's a bit embarrassing. But in blue, it's blue, and also made in Drops Drops Lima and Drops Kid Silk. Jeans blue and jeans blue. drops lima and light blue kid silk. So again, two different colors mixed together, which gives kind of a mottled appearance. Yeah. Yeah. And that's always kind of fun to play around with mixing colors to give a different expression. And so I have one more here from Petite Knit. Here it is the anchor sweater. Here you can see this design. A super easy sweater design, which I also like a lot. I don't wear it so much because the yarn that I used is not the best quality. It is Drops. What's it called? Drops Puna. It is an alpaca, 100% alpaca, but it is kind of itchy. It's a little bit itchy, so it's not so comfortable. And it's also quite warm because of the alpaca, but it's not so thick. So I use it sometimes, but not a lot. I have to really invest in better yarn to make sure that I use the things that I make. Yeah. And let's see here, one more. I do also have another sweater that I designed myself. It's not a very fancy design, it's just a straight up and down sweater here. Just yeah, in brown. I have way too much brown. I have to remind myself not to buy so much brown yarn. I have a tendency to buy brown, apparently. And this one is knitted in Drops Alpaca. And I've actually knitted many of these over the years. Just a pattern where I just knit it from the top down and take out for the sleeves, and I don't make any short rows or anything, just knit it. So not much to say there. Just a very easy sweater that I can always come back to and knit again, but it's also quite boring to make that, so I have become a little bit more advanced. An advanced knitter since the last 2 years here, at least. Yeah. I am also thinking about starting more of my own patterns. It's not something that I want to do professionally. I am very much in love with the ASMR thing that I'm doing here. And so I had ideas about starting making knitting patterns, but that's just too much work. And I don't know if it's really worth it anymore. I have experienced before that my patterns, my crocheting patterns, which I have designed before, my knitting patterns just get stolen and sold, or just given out for free on Amazon now, almost. So I kind of stopped. I don't want to make them anymore because it takes so much work. It's countless hours to make a pattern, and it's not worth it. People are just going to steal it or make a cheaper AI version or something of something that you spent countless hours making and developing. So, yeah, I kind of dropped all that again. So, as I always do this time of year, I have bought some yarn for upcoming projects. I am almost finished with a lot of things here, and there's actually one that I forgot to show you also. But, yeah. And it's quite difficult. It'll be a little difficult for you to see what this is because it needs some assembling before it really looks like anything. So this is the balloon cardigan by Petite Knit. And I just love the garter stitch. And that's the only reason why I decided to knit something that is not knit in the round, because I really prefer to knit things that are just in one piece from the top down, knit in rounds, so that there's no assembling work, because I'm not a big fan of assembling. But this one has to be assembled. Anything knit in garter stitch pretty much has to be assembled somehow, because yeah, it's a pattern that you get by just knitting the knit stitch back and forth on the front and the back. So this was actually the first thing that I started this year. Oh, no, this fall. But it's the last thing that I'm going to finish because of the assembling work that I so much dread. But yeah, I'll do it this week. Not this weekend, but next week. Yeah. So let's see, what will we have in the bag? Here are some leftovers from the sweater. I don't know what I'll make with that. Maybe some socks for the little girls and for Christmas, maybe. I'll never have time to do that, but maybe for next year. Yeah, tops Noah. Yeah. And then I have bought some very nice quality merino yarn here in an orange color. I don't know quite what I'm gonna make with that. I think I planned to make a scarf or something. It was on sale, so I think that's why I bought it, but I don't know about the color. So I'll see what that'll turn out to be. And so this is the drops Lima that I'm using for the Chunky Dahlia sweater, and the kid silk that I'm mixing it with in off-white. So these two together, mixed together, will be becoming this piece here. And I think I forgot to actually show you up close how beautiful this is turning out to be. Yes.